Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. If anyone had any doubt that this so-called Geza revolution is about power and not about getting Zimbabwe out of this political and economic mess that is in, here is further proof of that. I said it in my yesterday's discussion that the opposition leaders in 2017 came out en masse to support the military coup because the coup plotters had promised them the GNU. I had said that Geza and company tried to do the same thing with the opposition. Well, here is a confirmation of it. Geza himself is confirming that he has robbed in Chamisa, Sikhala, and many others. If you look at that list, that is the who and who of opposition sellouts. Most of those leaders have been in the opposition camp for the last 25 years. Many of them were in the government of national unity of 2008 to 2013 that failed to implement even one token democratic change. Not even one token one. That was the golden opportunity for Zimbabwe to implement the reforms and bring about real, meaningful democratic change. But that opportunity was wasted. And in 2017, the coup plotters, just like Geza now, they needed the people to come out in numbers to show that this was not a military coup, but at least it was a military coup backed by the populace of the nation. The people of Zimbabwe welcomed the military coup. They needed to do that because it gave the coup itself political legitimacy. And the coup plotters knew that that is political currency they could go on to use in future. That is why they encouraged the people to come out in numbers. They reached out to the opposition and knew they only had to dangle the carrot of a new GNU. And our sellout opposition leaders would be mesmerized. They'll be hypnotized to the point where they cannot think anymore. They have to be part of it. Morgan Tsvangirai was in South Africa in a bed in a South African hospital at the time of the coup. When he was told about it, and more specifically, that the coup plotters wanted to form a new GNU, he discharged himself and came back to Zimbabwe, convinced he was going to take part in the new GNU. When Mugabe saw that the coup did indeed have public support, he resigned. And soon thereafter, the coup plotters told Tsvangirai and company that this was an internal matter, nothing to do with the opposition. There will be no GNU. The coup happened in November. And in February, the following year, 2018, Morgan Tsvangirai passed away. According to Chamisa, he died of a broken heart because he really genuinely believed there was going to be a GNU. And when that didn't happen, he was heartbroken. It comes as no surprise whatsoever that Geza was able to rope in Chamisa and company. If Geza was serious about change, you would have also known that these opposition individuals would never deliver any meaningful change. The GNU that is being proposed now, as was being proposed in 2017, will be a GNU headed by ZANU-PF, and it will be an internal matter with no outsiders, unlike the 2008 to 2013 GNU, which was sponsored by SADC, and SADC was the guarantor of that global political agreement. This new GNU will be entirely a ZANU-PF opposition leaders matter, no outsiders. If Morgan Tsvangirai and company failed to implement even one token reform during the 2008 to 2013 GNU, when they had the trump card of the global political agreement and had SADC speaking as the guarantor of that agreement, what hope is there of them implementing any meaningful reforms now with ZANU-PF? That's all the trump cards. None. Here is a video of our friend Chamisa boasting about his going to form the new government.
Makorokoto Zimbabwe nokuti hakuna munhu anomira kana denga raronga plan denga harifo iri plan ya Mwari haifo iri ini ndatanga kugadzira cabinet. There is no way we are not going to form a new cabinet. There is no way we are not going to have a celebration. There is no way we are not going to have an inauguration. Let's start preparing for our inauguration. Let's start preparing for our celebration.
Here is the man who was urging his supporters to participate in the flawed 2023 elections. He knew the process was flawed. He knew that by participating, you only give ZANU-PF legitimacy. And yet, he and his friends soldiered on. Why? Because of greed. They also knew that ZANU-PF was giving away a few gravitrine seats to entice the opposition to participate. But of course, he could not tell his followers that we are participating out of greed. He had to tell them something else. He had to tell them that the opposition was going to win big because they have strategies of how to win rigged elections. In the 2023 elections, he told his followers he had plugged all the vote rigging loopholes. Hashtag God is in it. Even invoked the name of God. Of course, he was lying. The thing with Chamisa and his colleagues is they have lied again and again and got away with it. Here is one occasion where somebody did take him to task about his lying.
Ende patakasangana na Trump akatibvunza naye akomana mari yamuri kuda kuti nyika ifambe imari.
Serious questions were raised about your behaviour in Washington, D.C. You did see some senior people on Capitol Hill, some Congress people, but you also claimed that you'd seen Donald Trump. You claimed you had a conversation with him in which you said he asked you how much you needed to move the country forward. You told him $15 billion, and he said to you that he would provide the money if you won the election. That was not true, was it?
Sangana na Trump akatibvunza naye akomana.
It was not true that you'd seen Donald Trump and that Donald Trump indicated to you that he would provide, if you won the election,
but
$15 billion.
All those statements were said by other people, not what I said.
Well, no, because there is a video which shows you at a rally in January back home in Zimbabwe saying that Donald Trump had pretty much promised you $15 billion. To be clear, because some people in Zimbabwe are still confused, you're now telling me you did not meet Donald Trump.
We did not.
Of course, he did not meet Donald Trump. And even there, he still maintained that he didn't say it. The problem with our opposition is that they are corrupt, incompetent, and utterly useless. But the tragedy is that their followers are brain dead. They refuse to see the failures of the opposition, even when they're presented with a mountain of evidence to that effect. Let's be clear. Zimbabwe's MDC opposition was formed in 1999 in answer to the nation's cry for democratic change. The nation had reached a point where they realized that as long as ZANU-PF is able to rig the elections, there will be no meaningful change in the country. So the nation came to the consensus that we needed an opposition that will go out there and implement the democratic changes necessary to stop ZANU-PF rigging the elections. That was the primary purpose of the MDC. The party itself, when it was formed, was named to answer that call. This was a movement for democratic change. And now, 25 years down the line, anyone with half a brain would be asking themselves, so what democratic changes have the MDC brought in 25 years, including the 5 years in the 2008 to 2013 GNU when they had the golden opportunity to do so? It speaks volumes that millions of Zimbabweans out there have never asked that question. And what is worse, they continue to follow and have confidence in the opposition. The same opposition that has failed to implement even one token reform. That is the tragedy of Zimbabwe. To come back to the present, the people of Zimbabwe are being asked to come out in numbers in support of the 31st March uprising. They will be told by the opposition leaders that the new government that will emerge out of it will be able to implement reforms. The people themselves, if they had any sense at all, will be asking those leaders, if you fail to implement reforms during the GNU, what makes you think you're going to get any meaningful reforms implemented now? The people themselves should see that to this coming uprising is just a repeat of the 2017 coup. They should know that that coup brought in change, but those changes have brought nothing of substance in terms of changes on the ground. The coup replaced Mugabe with Mnangagwa, and that was it. Politically, economically, nothing changed. Indeed, if anything, things got worse. So if those people, those millions of so-called Chamisa Chete brigade had any brain, they will be asking, is this 31st March uprising a repeat of the 2017 coup? As we can see from Geza's quotation. These leaders have already accepted Chiwenga. He didn't expand on that, what that means, but we all know what that means. That means they will accept Chiwenga as president. Anyone would know that Chiwenga is just another ZANU-PF thug. A pea from the same pod as Mugabe and Mnangagwa. A dictator through and through. In 2017, we replaced one dictator with another dictator. And now we are doing the same thing. That, I must say, is sickening. We're not learning anything. Just making the same mistake over and over again. A blatant, obvious mistake in this case. I'm not surprised that Bombshell managed to rope in the who is who in the opposition camps sellouts. Because he knows that the 31st March uprising is not about changing the corrupt and failed political system in Zimbabwe. It is about transferring power from one ZANU-PF faction to another, just as what happened in 2017. And he's roping in the sellouts in the opposition because he knows that they will not resist the opportunity to get some seats on the gravy train. And for that, they will happily rope in their brain-dead followers to participate in the flawed process. In the protest that they know or should know will not bring any meaningful change at all. Sad, really, that 45 years after independence, we're still failing to define what is wrong in Zimbabwe, much less what to do about it. What is wrong with Zimbabwe? We have a dictatorship. And what is wrong is that we keep swapping dictators and go out in the streets celebrating that we have achieved change. We made that mistake into 2017. It will be unforgivable to make the same mistake come March 31st. Because this 31st March uprising has nothing to do with ending the dictatorship. It is about replacing one dictator with another. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to see that. Think about it. Thank you very much. Have a good day.